Order the meeting of the Greenwood Common Council on Monday, April the 1st. And if you would please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, and after the pledge, please remain standing. We'll be led in prayer this evening by David Owens, coordinator of the Greenwood Council Invocation Ministry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. God of all, within our community, there's so much diversity, and that's to be celebrated. There's folks that live on the suburbs, folks that live downtown, folks that vote for one presidential candidate, folks that vote for another presidential candidate, folks that are newcomers to the community of Greenwood, folks that have been here for decades and decades, and their family have been around for a long time. But we celebrate that diversity because it brings voices to our community that need to be heard, and maybe some ideas that hadn't been considered because of just we hadn't thought of it. But that diversity can be a block, just like that moon that'll be passing over the sun on Monday. On Monday, there will be a unity that probably most of us are going to be looking up at that sun and in wonder and awe. I ask you to bring unity to this council and to the people of Greenwood, that our likes that we hold in common are made important, and the quality of life, the high goals, the values, the ideas, the pride and the progress are there, that we celebrate that as a worthwhile goal that we all can seek to obtain. Bless our common council, our city council tonight, all who work for this community, all who participate in this meeting, that they can know that there is much that we have to celebrate as a community. And so with our presence here tonight, we have unity. We ask you to bless it and nurture it, just like that tree on our logo, to make it a great, strong thing that lasts for a long time. Bless this council. Bring us unity. Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call.
Betron. Here. Campbell.
Here.
Gibson. Here. Hill is absent. Hopper.
Here.
He's virtual.
Lexi.
Here.
Manship. Here. Moan.
Here.
And Williams.
Here. And we have a quorum. All of you should have received copies for minutes from the last regular meeting of March the 18th. Do I have a motion? So moved. Motion from Mr. Lexi, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Betron, is that right? Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, then roll call on the minutes.
Betron. Aye. Campbell.
Aye.
Gibson. Aye. Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Aye.
Manship. Abstain. Moan.
Aye.
And Williams.
Aye. Minutes are approved on a vote of 7, with 7-0 with 1 abstention. Reports, Corporation Council.
Corporation Council has nothing to report.
Anybody in the controller at this time?
Nothing at this time.
Any other committee or board reports? All right, we do have someone here tonight from the Johnson County Public Library that speak to us for a moment.
Thank you so much. I'm Lisa Littner, the director for the Johnson County Public Library, and I'm just here to share our 2023 year review updates for you all. And just as a reminder, our White River branch is in the city of Greenwood, so we serve a part of your district here. And I know you're really well served by the Greenwood Public Library as well, and we're pals and we like to partner together. But I do have some updates that I think you'll find very interesting. Last year, we had 1.2 million items checked out, and we continue to check out mostly items that are on our shelves. So hardback books, softback books, that we're still checking out more than our digital items, and we still check out DVDs, music, and audiobooks. But we also have lots of apps you can use free with your library card. Last year, we launched JCPL on Wheels, which is a bookmobile, and we're traveling all over the county, going to sites like nursing homes, senior centers, daycares, and this summer we'll concentrate a lot on places where children are at summer camp for our Explore Summer program. And our branches last year did more than 3,200 programs and outreaches with more than 74,000 people attending. And we read 3 million minutes together as a community during the summer months. Last year, we had a couple of challenges that we had to overcome, and happened at our White River branch. Christmas 2022, we had a fire line break and did quite a bit of damage of water. We were closed a few days and completely made those repairs in early 2023. And then last year, exactly a year ago, 7 a.m. in the morning, I went to the Clark Pleasant branch to assess the $500,000 in damage from the tornado. And last December, we did the final repair for that. So it did take us several months to get it completely repaired, but it's restored back to its near new condition. I will say we were closed a week for that, and we could not have reopened quickly enough without the great help from so many public safety teams and our public utilities. In 2023, we opened a STEAM exploration walk at the new Clark Pleasant branch. And that's a fun activity for preschoolers to experience science, technology, and art as in music. There's musical instruments, there's a water play table, lots of fun you can do on our 10th of a mile trail. And the other kind of big thing that we did in 2023 is our board and our staff worked on our next 5-year strategic plan. And we also completed a feasibility study for improvements to the White River branch and to the Franklin branch. And one thing I want to share with you is that our White River branch is the branch that we would like to tackle next for capital improvements. And we have decided that we will not be purchasing land nor moving or new construction for that. We're going to be where it's at the White River branch location and do improvements there. And then our plan is several years after that, we will do improvements to the Franklin branch. And since many of your residents are our patrons of the White River branch, I would like to come back probably in the fall with more details about that feasibility study, just to share with you what are some of the improvements we would like to do to the White River branch. Our 5-year strategic plan, we have 3 simple pillars. We want to welcome our library users, we want to create connections, and inspire excitement. One way we're inspiring excitement, we are getting really excited for the eclipse. On March 2nd, we held Space Day at the Johnson County Armory, where 1,600 residents came to learn about our universe. It was truly a magical experience for people of all ages. We still have some, we're going to open up our parking lots for the eclipse on Monday. We are closed, the public library is closed on Monday for the eclipse. And we're just kind of excited to see what happens next Monday. Hopefully it's not a day like this Monday. And really that's my update I'd like to share with you. I'm happy to answer any questions or hear any comments you may have.
Any questions from Ms. Littman? Thank you. We appreciate what you do for our community and Johnson County.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is an opportunity that we set aside for public comments. If you're here tonight, a member of the public wish to address the council concerning an item that is on tonight's agenda, please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record. If you don't mind, please speak up. There is a 5-minute time limit per person. Seeing none, moving on to ordinances, resolutions. There's none under notice of intent to consider. First reading, ordinance number 2414.
An ordinance amending chapter 8, section, article 4, section 8-20 of the Greenwood Municipal Code as amended to prohibit parking on the portion of a drive or driveway that forms part of a public sidewalk, path, or trail within the city of Greenwood, sponsored by Gibson.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gibson, second. Second by Ms. Manship. Any discussion on the council?
I do.
Yes.
I mentioned this last week, and I still kind of stand by it, is that like, I feel like this would be really hard to enforce, and to, and thinking about it in a broader sense, there's so many reasons why people would use those full parts of their driveway. Houses are getting bigger, yards are getting smaller, driveways are pretty small as well. And if you have RVs or boats for the summer, if you have multiple kids of driving age, if you have all those different things, like you're using that full driveway. And I think the decision last time was people can just park on the road, but most neighborhoods, if people are parked on both sides of the roads, it's a traffic obstruction and it's really unsafe for kids going back and forth across the street. You can't see them in between the cars. I don't understand how this is a good idea.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
I too would like to share some concerns, because I see the merit in this because it does create a safety hazard when folks have to go around the back of vehicles, when they're walking on the sidewalks. But thought about this broadly over the last 2 weeks and paid attention to where I parked in driveways and found that greater than 50%, maybe more like 75% of the time, when there were just two cars in a parking in a driveway, the only alternative for me would have been on the street, because plenty of room in the driveway, but there wouldn't have been room for me to park. And so I would have been in violation of this ordinance, just parking in the driveway too. I think this ordinance, which was at one time an ordinance in the city, was amended to read the way it reads. I think this is a pretty broad brush, because in addition to the concerns about street parking, I think that limits the field of vision with people backing out of driveways. I think that the safety concern over small children running between cars, maybe to chase a ball or to whatever, kids get loose sometimes. And we've talked about concerns about speed through our neighborhoods. And I don't think that I'm adamantly opposed to this idea, because it does impede the progress of folks who are potentially disabled or in wheelchairs, or to have to go out and around that car. But I think the percentage of driveway you lose, if you drive down the road that Arnie's is on, I always forget the name of that. Curry Road, they will lose upwards of 12, 14 feet of their driveway. There is a 10-foot section on the other side of the driveway. And so it's just a huge amount to say, okay, we're only gonna allow people to put two cars in their driveway, basically. That's what we're saying. And I think there could be some limitations, and look at it based upon the number of feet from the sidewalk to the street. If that is a minimal number, then no longer allow parking across that. But most of the time, there would be space to walk around on the backside behind, still in the driveway, and not walk onto the street. I just have some concerns on this one.
I'd like to mention a couple of things as far as the RVs and boats. Those are, if they're, a certain size, then those are supposed to be parked behind the front line of the house. And I noticed in a lot of the areas in my district, the younger children are learning to ride their bicycles, and they're on the sidewalks because the streets are too narrow for them to be out there. And so you don't want these young children out in the street learning to ride their bicycles, or even there on Curry Road. Right. The traffic that's on Curry Road, you've got a lot of younger children, but they do have the housing, inside, that they can at least get, inside and not be on Curry Road. But I think that in my district especially, if the children can't ride their bicycles on the sidewalk, then we're putting them right there in the street.
Any other comments, questions, discussion? Just one comment, every ordinance that we pass is a broad brush, typically, and so, and it always affects certain people adversely and is advantageous to others, so it makes it very difficult sometimes. The one thing that I was thinking is something Linda just said, is that if children are, I drive through neighborhoods and I see people walking, jogging, riding their bikes, and kids out in the streets. And I would like to see them out of the streets and onto the sidewalks, but if the sidewalks are blocked, this makes it that much more difficult for that. So I understand both sides, but you know, like I said, everything we do is typically a broad brush.
I get that, but I will also say that I live on a street that doesn't have sidewalks, right? So my daughter did have to learn how to ride her bike in the street. When I was a kid, I grew up in a cul-de-sac, and that's where we played our basketball and our football, and we just played in the street. And there was somebody that kept an eye out, and so on and so forth. I know these are different times, and I would never liken that, and I would never. I understand the broad brush comment, but I think that it could be more specific.
In Sebring with you, we don't have sidewalks in our neighborhood, but we're fortunate that it's just a U-shaped street. So we didn't have to worry about all the traffic like we do if you're on Canby or someplace like that they don't have sidewalks either.
All right, any other comments, questions? All right, roll call, ordinance 2414, first reading.
Betron,
Nay.
Campbell,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Hopper,
aye,
Lexi,
Aye.
Manship,
Aye.
Dunn,
Nay.
and Williams.
Aye.
Ordinance 2414 passes first reading on a vote of 6-2. Second reading, none, new business, introduction of new ordinance and resolutions, resolution number 2406.
A resolution of the Greenwood Common Council waiving noncompliance of CPF Greenwood Associates Limited Liability Company regarding its failure to timely file its application for deduction from assessed valuation of structures in economic revitalization areas, sponsored by Hopper.
What was yours?
My name is Caroline Minor. I'm with Altus Group. I'm here on behalf of CPF Greenwood Associates. The resolution in front of you being introduced tonight is just to do with non-compliance. They failed to file a form. So in 2019, there was a project introduced it's out at 1379 Collins Road. There's a big industrial park being developed over there. The project was over $20 million in proposed value between the real estate and machinery and equipment. Both parties came before the council and were approved for tax abatements. And the business personal property has been compliant over the last couple of years. They've been filing and getting the benefit that the council approved. The real estate owner, the real estate changed hands and the new owner failed to file one of the forms that's required, the form 322 RE, which is just a declaration of the value of the real estate improvements. So the waiver of non-compliance that we're requesting tonight is simply to correct that non-filing. The parties have submitted all the required paperwork prior to coming to the council, and we're just looking to fulfill the intent of the council in approving those real estate abatements. If this is approved as drafted by the city attorney, it would mean that the 10-year abatement that was approved in 2019 would be implemented for the 2023 pay 2024 tax year and would run for the full 10 years beginning this year. And as I said, the business personal property is already receiving that exemption, which is a 5-year exemption. For context on the project, they invested everything that they said they would invest in both real estate and personal property. The original number of jobs intended for the project or applied for in the original abatement was 99, and they're currently employing over 150. So they have met all of their investment obligations to the city and are just seeking, making sure that we can actually implement the abatement. There any questions?
Any questions from council?
So what led to the failure to file? Was there any circumstances other than whoops?
No, it was basically a whoops. There are 2 forms required for the real estate. The 322 RE, which is the initial form that has to be filed when the project is complete, with when it's first assessed. And the second form is the CF1. The CF1 is required for both real estate and business personal. Those forms were both filed. They just failed to file the 322.
If I'm correct, that you all, the building was already built, and you all purchased it. So you weren't the company that sought the original abatement, is that correct?
That's correct. The original company that sought the abatement was the developer. And then those abatements were transferred to the new ownership name.
So they just kind of got lost in the transfer, is that correct?
Got a little bit lost in the transfer.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
I do it. Sorry. Can you
Yeah.
hear me, Mr. Campbell?
Yes,
Yeah, I do have just a quick question. I think I heard you right. You put 25 million into the project. Is that correct?
It's closer to 20 million, but yes, that's
Okay. So, as I'm reading this, it was approximately 10.6 for the real property and another, we'll say 8 for the personal property. Is that right? And then, so close to 20. What did it actually assess for? Curious.
So the real estate was, the cost on the real estate was probably just over 11 million. The abatement was capped at 8.5 million. And so the assessor has enrolled that value at 7.199.
all right, any other questions, Mr. Hopper?
Not at this time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, resolution 2407.
A resolution of the Greenwood Common Council approving an interlocal mutual aid agreement between the city of Greenwood and the consolidated city of Indianapolis and Marion County regarding fire and emergency service assistance. Sponsored by Mike.
Good evening, council. Good evening, Michelle, Fire Chief. I'm seeking approval for a mutual aid agreement between Indianapolis Fire Department and Greenwood Fire Department. In doing my research, I did not find or could not find a written mutual aid agreement, which legitimizes the expectations for mutual aid between both departments. This is a written mutual aid agreement that specifically identifies those expectations between both departments. So I'm seeking approval to have this mutual aid agreement.
Any questions? All right, thank you. All right, miscellaneous business. This is the second opportunity for public comments. This time, however, for items that are not on tonight's agenda. So if you'd like to address the council, please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record. And again, there's a 5-minute time limit per person. Seeing none, moving on, miscellaneous business from the council. We do have, looks like 9 CF1s. And a couple things, we typically move through these pretty quick, so I'm gonna ask ahead of time, does anybody have a problem with any of these 9 that are listed here? The second thing is that instead of,
Copper disc,
I'm sorry?
copper disc.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with them. I reviewed them all and they're all in substantial compliance. Number 7 is the only one that's kind of interesting in that they didn't tell us about any jobs, and typically I'm assuming it was a shell building, so but they're in year 3, so I would think at this point that somebody is a tenant and has jobs. maybe not. That was the only just interesting one. That wouldn't keep me from approving it.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Which one?
Number 7.
Number 7.
Okay.
Otherwise, they're all fine, and I will abstain from all of them, so you can do a voice vote there in the room
All
and
right.
get them over with.
Could you repeat your concern with that one, please?
It has no jobs reported, and typically, I would assume this was a shell building probably, and it is in year 3, as I recall, so normally it would have some jobs at this point that they would report. They've done what they said they would do, which is build the building, so.
According to the note at the bottom, the building was just completed in January 1st of this year and is now available for lease. So I don't know.
I see it.
I don't know
I
if
see
that
that.
answers your question.
It does, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. All right. The second thing concerning these, instead of reading the names and numbers on each one, we're going to reference them by the 01, 02, 03 as listed on our agenda. So if the clerk could make note that when you do the minutes, if you would include the name and all that, we're just going to reference them tonight for brevity reasons by the number 01, 02, and so on. All right, at this point, I entertain a motion for 01.
Move to find 01 in substantial compliance.
Motion by Mr. Lexi, second by Mr. Moan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously. 02.
Move to find 02 in substantial compliance.
Second.
Second, motion by Mr. Lexi, second by Mr. Moan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously.
Move to find 03 in substantial compliance.
Motion by Mr. Lexi, second by Mr. Moan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Move to find 04 in substantial compliance.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lexi, second by Mr. Moan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? 03 and 04 passed unanimously.
Move to find 05 in substantial compliance.
Second.
Motion Mr. Lexi, second by Mr. Moan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously.
Move to find 06 in substantial compliance.
Second.
Motion Mr. Lexi, second by Mr. Moan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously.
Move to find 07 in substantial compliance.
Second.
Motion Mr. Lexi, second by Mr. Moan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously.
Move to find 08 in substantial compliance.
Second.
Motion Mr. Lexi, second by Mr. Moan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously.
Move to find 09 in substantial compliance.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lexi, second by Mr. Moan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously. I think all of us received an email about some training with the Plan Commission and BZA that will take place on March. April, maybe March, April 29th. I would encourage all of us to attend. I think it'd be helpful. I do plan to be there, so just a note on that. Any other miscellaneous business from the council? Anything from the corporation council?
Nothing.
Anything from the controller?
Nothing.
Anything from the mayor?
You took what I had to say.
All right, anything else you want to say about that? All right. We are adjourned.